It's so easy for the biggest natural food brands in the world to be like, oh, our food is made with love. And it's like, no, it's not. It's made in some big shitty factory. Like, don't lie. Like, this in and of itself is not unique. But what is unique is our commitment to local farmers and food producers.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Is it the third or fourth time in a row that you've answered a Zoom call on the run?
I don't know. It's gonna be my bit now with you though. It's gonna be my bit.
I like it. I kind of feel like it's an act. I feel like you're sitting down and you just get up to get moving. Thank you.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's for like really good reasons, and sometimes it's like, oh my god, I forgot to grab a glass of water. Not actually just this like mega busy entrepreneur. I'm just thirsty.
Yeah. trying to keep up there as well.
Yeah.
So Sheena, I'm already recording, and I don't want to take up much of your time. I have like a few quick things I want to ask you and chat about today. Most
Awesome.
of which selfish. I just want to ask you a few questions about the business and specifically about social enterprise and some of the like process of getting that set up, some of the hurdles, challenges, fun bits. Before we jump in, do you mind? I'm guessing like most people who will watch this will know exactly who you are and probably know about your business, but do you mind just doing a quick intro for yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so I'm Sheena Russell. I am founder and CEO of Made with Local, and we are a healthy snack foods company based out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And we create all of our foods with social impact baked in. And people best know us for our, grab one here, our real food bars,
Amazing.
which people know and love, and they are all across Canada and all kinds of grocery stores. And we have a second baking mix line that is launching into lots of stores really, really soon. So that's the two bits about me.
Which I saw this morning. I was literally at that line like an hour ago and checking out the production at Corbrook and Out of the Box. Is it okay that I mention them by name?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're creating a video about it, so it's going to be public. So congrats on the expansion first and foremost.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for coming to us and working with us on that. We're really stoked. Did you see any of the video stuff yet?
So I haven't, but your guys were at my house last Friday, and my like little girl, Thea, who's gonna be 2 in a couple of weeks, was like dialed in. Like so dialed in.
She crushed it. We have like a behind the scenes video that I've seen and photos, and it's amazing. I mean, I'm happy with it from like our like production perspective, but like I think you're gonna love it too. She's so cute. You guys are so cute. Oh, it's so awesome. I'm really excited to see that come together.
I'm so stoked about it. And I have a 6-year-old as well, and she's just like a total wild child and like is not to be tamed. But Thea is just like a little ham, and you can just feed her lines. Like that's what the guys were saying. They're like, we can just tell her what to say and she'll just say it right back. Like this is a dream. So she's just
so good.
Yeah, she's perfect.
Yeah, amazing. One quick thing I want to touch on, Sheena, is I read a LinkedIn post that you shared, I think maybe like an hour and a half ago, about reflection over the past year, because I think we're just about at a year from the point where this was really the pandemic and COVID was really starting to hit home and impact businesses. So I'm curious, what has that reflection consisted of for you?
Oh man, it's been heavy and light at the same time, which is weird. But yeah, I feel like for me, it's been important for me to sit and recognize how far we've come since almost exactly a year ago now. It would be like this Friday coming up, and I think about it in kind of like mom terms. It was the Friday before March break for kids, right? Whenever our government here was like, okay, so kids are going to be on a 2-week break after March break, and then we'll reassess. And at that point, we had no idea that like kids were going to be home until the following September. Like school is now done, and obviously like much deeper impacts than that still. But but yeah, we just had no idea what was coming, right? But that you could feel the fear and the uncertainty in the air, like last March, like you could really feel like we were just about to kind of all collectively, as like the generation of humans that are on the earth right now, about to go into something that's like pretty formative, I think, which has been 2020 and now just beyond. But yeah, for me, this week has just been like, yeah, gratitude. Dave, I know that you're also like a journaler and somebody who consistently and consciously carves out time to reflect and journal and be grateful. And that's just been, I haven't been journaling, but like thinking about it in more of a, yeah, it's just more to front of mind for me right now. Is like, okay, you know, like we've made it a year. None of us could have ever imagined that this was all going to last a year and longer at the time. And just, yeah, just kind of being close with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm muting because there's nonstop sirens going on outside of this window in Toronto. But I'll commend you for sticking through it and coming out on the other end stronger, and can certainly relate. Oh my God, they are full on. Can you hear those sirens?
I can. It's all good.
Okay. But yeah, can definitely relate to that. I mean, obviously, not being clueless from the beginning and thinking, oh yeah, this will be a couple weeks and then we'll bounce back, and then having our business really decimated at the beginning and really not knowing if we were going to survive. We were really lucky to have a few very steady clients that were able to sort of pull us through. And I think journaling and meditation and reflection and gratitude practices were all things that I had definitely begun to adopt before all of this, but became like imperative really to maintain even just like the zero throughout. Mm-hmm. And now I feel coming up to a year a lot stronger and feel like I've been thriving and really like kind of finding a new really positive headspace for myself and feeling really fired up. But I did catch myself the other day thinking about, it's been a year now since I've been home and seen like any family and like most of the people that I love, thinking about hugging my mom. And I was like, what's it going to be like when I hug my mom? And I've acknowledged, oh, I miss people, but I was like, oh, it's going to be crazy. I've definitely built up some walls where I'm like, I'm okay. Like, it's fine. Like,
I know.
And then it's like, oh, but I wonder if you'll know if you actually were okay when you see
I'm like starting to like tear up right now. Actually, just talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's real.
It's hard.
I'll be looking forward to that for sure. But I'm glad your business is doing well. You're doing well. Family's healthy. So that's what's important.
I will tell you, Dave, I have to throw something in there. I miss my family so much in PEI that I started listening to country music again, like just to feel close to home. I'm from PEI. My whole family's still in PEI, born and raised, and I moved to Dartmouth, however long ago. But yeah, now I'm like, oh, I'm real homesick. I've got my Alan Jackson playlist on repeat. Like, I'm in a bad way.
I hear you, and I mean, I always love my mom, but I usually only exclusively complain about her being annoying. So the fact that I'm like talking about how much I miss her and want to hug her, like that's special for me as well. She might listen to this, so sorry, Mom. I love you. You can be annoying. You can be annoying. Sheena, I mentioned that I wanted to ask you about social enterprise, and I had mentioned to you a few weeks back that we're looking at starting a new business and very closely kind of considering a social enterprise component to that. So I have a few specific questions, but to start, social enterprise is a word that I throw around a lot and vaguely understand what it means, but how do you actually define social enterprise?
So here's the thing, Dave. I actually sit on the board, Social Enterprise Network of Nova Scotia. I sit on their board of directors. We still have gray area and conversations around like what it is to be a social enterprise, because there's no textbook definition. There isn't, right? And it's a super gray area. And I think from a funding and like government support perspective, historically, social enterprises have been little businesses that exist within the nonprofit sector to provide work and training opportunities that kind of to folks who are experiencing barriers, or some type of give back to the community that engages marginalized members of the community underneath this like not-for-profit service umbrella. At least that's the model that's really common in Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia is actually a leader globally in social enterprise in that way. Like in that definition, Nova Scotia has literally dozens of organizations all across the province, like urban, rural, you name it. But I really, and people call me with local a social enterprise, and I kind of wrestle with that a bit because we're growing a for-profit company. Like that's the intention for me in this business, is to show that you can run a profitable, prosperous company and do good things, right? Like I don't want to position that the only way that you can grow a company that does positive things for the community and the planet around you is to be a not-for-profit, because that's not it's not true. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but I think the answer is that there is no formal definition and it's kind of up for interpretation.
Fair enough. And so you did mention how that relates to how like the government treats it and for funding purposes. Like, what is the designation that officially in the government's eyes or funding purposes makes you or is there a designation? What is the designation?
Yeah, Dave, I can't actually even speak to that specifically because I'm not on that side of things. Like our relationship with the social enterprises that we partner with is that we have manufacturing partnerships with them, right? And I do, because we've been working with them for so long, I definitely have a sense of how what other revenue streams they have aside from my business. But I'm not exactly sure how that all is navigated in federal funding channels.
Well, I mean, harkening back to the point that you made about people calling you a social enterprise, like I've been referring to you guys as a social enterprise for years now.
Yeah.
So I'm learning now.
It's not wrong. It just depends on what your definition of social enterprise is. And I think, again, because in Nova Scotia, historically, the connotation is that it's a non-for-profit sort of model. I've kind of stayed away from it, but then you can look into the US and look into other markets, and but it's very, very fluidly used in the for-profit sector. So it just depends.
Sure. Okay, well, coming back to that idea of designations, you guys are B Corp certified. Look, why was it important to you, and why is it important, and why should people consider those designations? Like what does that mean for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's because it's way too easy for people to blow up or bullshit about what they're doing. It's so easy for the biggest natural food brands in the world to be like, oh, our food is made with love. And it's like, no, it's not. It's made in some big shitty factory. Like, don't lie,
Yeah. And even the percentage of profits, you can tweak that. Like you can just shape your books to
Yeah. So, I think, and that's something for me in that my company, we're making simple, nourishing, healthy snack foods, but so is everybody else, right? This in and of itself is not unique, but what is unique is our commitment to local farmers and food producers, and our very innovative model to partner exclusively with social enterprise bakeries to do our manufacturing. The big guys can't and won't do that. And B Corp certification for me was a good way for me to kind of put my flag in the ground and say, this is legit. This is a third party audit on our processes, our partners, and we have been deemed, worthy of B Corp certification, it's a beastly process to get B Corp certified. I did it all on my own, and a lot of people hire consultants, and that, no shade there. Had we been bigger and I had the bandwidth to do that financially, I probably would have. But I also I feel and I don't, if this is something that you're looking into, Dave, or for any other founders that are kind of in that sub $1 million revenue, which is where we were when we first did it. If you can, do it yourself, because I learned a ton about my own business by doing my B Corp certification on my own. Because what happens in the assessment process is they ask you to present your numbers and your data and your processes to them in a different way than maybe you inherently interpret them on your own. For example, one of the questions is like, how much money do you spend on, for me, ingredients within a 300-kilometer radius of your headquarters of your production facility? Like, I've never actually
no one would ask
data
them
point.
that themselves that question,
right?
Like before.
Right. I know. I'm just like, they're local, buys in Wolfville, this person's in wherever, like, I just know they're close, but I'm not, running Google Maps and seeing who's where. But this is just like a really cool way to say, oh, okay, this is, it just, forces you to look at your business in a different way. So I actually found it a really valuable process.
Okay, awesome. And so until now, all production was in Nova Scotia. And you guys have now expanded to Ontario. And you are, as you mentioned, a for-profit business. And you mentioned that like your kind of competitive advantage right now, at least as pertains to like your purpose and social enterprise kind of aspect of the business, is that you're able to work with these small manufacturers, and that the big guys can't do that. How do you, knowing you and like kind of seeing your ambition, I get the feeling that you guys want to become a big or big-ish guy. Like, how do you cross that chasm? How do you fill that gap and continue to like keep that essence while chasing that goal of continuing to scale?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So we absolutely are planning on big expansion for me with local, and the foundation of our business are these partnerships that we've forged from day one with social enterprises, with the small farmers and food producers. But we are already seeing, we grew out of our first bakery in Nova Scotia. We had to expand into a second one. And now we're still running the Nova Scotia site at full tilt, actually. Soon they'll be ramping right back up. And then our site in Ontario, there's tons of space for us to grow in that site. As you would have seen today, Dave, it is massive. And they run a very tight ship. So we have all kinds of like clear blue sky ahead of us in terms of production capacity. But we are like now needing to double up on, okay, now we need 2 local honey suppliers, and our supply chain is becoming more complex because of these commitments that we have. And I shouldn't, I guess to say like the big guys can't, but it's more of the big guys won't, like they don't, like, it's not efficient enough. It's not, in their eyes, like the supply chain's not just getting all 10 of your ingredients from one centralized distributor, like once a month or whatever, right? We're working directly with little farmers and food producers. We're working directly with the co-packers, the social enterprises. So our like core asset in the company is these relationships and these systems that we've built to manage and scale a business in a different way than you're going to see like the multinationals doing.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure like I've probably even watched videos where you've explained this before or read articles in the past, but it's eluding me right now. Like, what inspired you to think about business like this in the first place? Because most people don't. I think now over the past few years, it's sort of become less novel and more of a hot topic, social enterprise and like having purpose-driven business. But like, what was it that like piqued that for you?
Yeah, so since I was a little kid, always like an activist, essentially, like I was always this like dorky little enviro geek and like very committed to social justice stuff, even though I didn't even know it at the time. Like, this is a weird little tangent story, but like I remember being in elementary school and our newspaper in PEI, The Guardian, ran a front page thing about there being a neo-Nazi group that has like set down roots in Charlottetown. And I wrote like a ferocious letter to the editor, like ripping on them for like giving these assholes a front page newspaper advertising spot and like the island paper. Right. And they like published it and everything. And I remember
how old were you?
Even just from a really young age, like being really like 10. So like being really rattled and moved by these things, like even since I was a little kid. So but business was never ever on my radar at all. So but then later in life, when I was like, 27, 28, started this little company for shits and giggles. But then realized, once I started kind of putting the pieces together, like, this isn't just healthy snacks, that I can't find at the grocery store. This is actually making an impact on the community. If I make a conscious decision to source my ingredients locally, that matters. And then when I got pregnant with Ruthie, my almost 6.5-year-old, honestly, the social enterprise piece kind of was like an accident, really, or like a happy accident, in that I just needed help to make my bars. I was super pregnant. And I was like, hey, I can't do this anymore. Like, my belly is literally getting in the way. And I came across the social enterprise bakery in Nova Scotia that was like, we'd like to try making these for you. I was like, sure, great idea. Please, can you help me? But then when I went down there and started training them on how to make the bars, and I'm looking around and I'm like putting the pieces together again, I'm like, okay, this is an incredible organization that makes massive impact on the community through their employment and training programs for folks experiencing barriers to the mainstream workforce. And I'm bringing the farmers' ingredients to this bakery and then making them in partnership with their participants and then putting that out into the world. And now, like, the impact is just amplified, right? So it was just kind of, I mean, it was a gradual genesis of how Made with Local came to be today. But yeah, that was a ramble, but that's essentially kind of how things have all come along.
I think that's really awesome. I hadn't heard that story before, so I'm glad that I asked. I think that's super cool. I
think my mom still has that newspaper, by the way. I should dig it up sometime.
It's pretty badass. No, I like that. You need that framed.
I should.
I like that a lot.
Oh man.
And I'm curious, because when things are going well and when you're growing and you're expanding, that's fun. And like, it comes with a lot of work, but I'm sure getting this all started and like incorporating this social purpose and mission into your business, like, it's not easy. There's a reason why not everyone does it, because it's easier to just go with cheaper options and easier options and more convenience. Like, what have the most challenging parts been about like sticking to your guns and driving this thing?
Honestly, the last like year and a half has been the hardest, in that I've essentially gone on record, and I still kind of feel this way, that I would care so much less about this company, and the company probably wouldn't even exist anymore, because business is too hard, if we didn't have these commitments and connections to the social enterprises and to the local farmers and food producers, because like I would stop caring. Like, it would be too hard that I would be like, this just doesn't I don't know why I'm doing this. But the production capacity constraint for us has been very real. Our demand has consistently outpaced our ability to make enough food, which is, the good problem to have, that like everybody and their dog love telling me. And it's like a sweet piece of advice, but totally useless. That's a good problem to have. I'm like, well, it's still a major problem. So that has been one of the hardest things, is like trying to figure out how to scale the model, the social enterprise bakery model. And as you've seen today at our second bakery in Toronto, like, we honestly feel like we're kind of having our cake and eating it too. And that we've formed this really beautiful partnership with an organization that is very, very poised and ready to scale with us, but also has this amazing impact on their local community. And it just feels like we kind of hit the jackpot, and that we've finally figured it out. And it's been like, literally, like, it's taken a village for us to get here. But that's been like the chronic challenge of the company, like up until literally like a couple of months ago.
Right. Okay. So on the other side of that coin, what have been some of the most rewarding experiences that you've had, or what are some of the most rewarding kind of aspects of it on the other side of those challenges?
Okay, well, I already cried once on this phone call, Dave, so geez.
You really are an empath.
Don't talk about hugging your mom in front of me right now. I am fragile as hell. So The most rewarding for me, I mean, if I'm just like on the total non-empath side of things, like something that I find very satisfying is like a big fucking I told you so. Because I was told so many times that like, okay, but this is a cute little lifestyle business, which is such like a passive aggressive, sexist, shitty thing to say to a female entrepreneur. What a cute little lifestyle business you have.
Nope.
And you can't, like it's a nice little idea, but good luck scaling it kind of thing. And I feel like now that we've cracked that, it's like so satisfying. And not to say there's like clearly shitloads of work in front of us to like, okay, we've gotten our production up and running at this like much higher capacity. But yeah, that's been very satisfying just to say like we know this works. We're proving that it can be done. And again, it's not easy, but like, here we are, look at us go. That's very satisfying. And then also like, again, on the kind of softer side, we've grown with some of our ingredient suppliers since day one, right? Like Cosmin and Wynn Honey based in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, like their farmer's market table was across the aisle from ours. And I would pick up a bucket of honey from Tom and Marianne and bring it home and bake Made with Local bars and bring those bars back to the farmer's market. And we would just like be across the aisle from each other. And Tom's honey still gets delivered every single Friday to our bakery in Nova Scotia. Now, not one tub a week, but now like 10 tubs. We were getting probably one tub a month, honestly, at that time. And now they're doing like, dozens a week sort of thing. So his business is growing in partnership and because of and in tandem with Made with Local. And that's the same thing with Flower Cart Group, our original Nova Scotia bakery here. When we first started working with them, they had two or three participants in the program. And now they're like in the process of building out a multi-million-dollar facility, and of which Made with Local is like a very key contractor within. Like we're going to be we're a huge, our success and us all growing together and their incredible ability to scale their company alongside ours is part of the reason why they're able to take their whole organization to like a way up level. So it's cool. Yeah, it's super cool watching all of our partners kind of evolve with us and like grow with the opportunity that's been brought to us.
I love that. Also, if you noticed me looking away from the screen, I was on my phone for a second, but I wasn't just like texting. I wanted to find one of the photos from the shoot today. Daniel from our team took that. I got to give him a shout out. And I think the photos that he got were so awesome. I'm stoked for you to see the rest of the photos in the video. It's really wicked.
Oh man, she's such a little ham. I love it.
Sheena, I feel like you've dropped a lot of gold already, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. I have really one like more big question for you. And that's about like I guess I'll just ask, what is the big, hairy, kind of audacious goal for Made with Local? Like what's the like moonshot dream? And do you guys have that outlined right now? Like what does that look like?
Absolutely. I kind of waver on how to deliver this idea because I know that like saying you want to be like the X of something's Y is like kind of lame because have your own original ideas, but fuck that. I'm just going to say it. Like I want to be the Ben and Jerry's of granola bars, right? I want to grow a CPG brand like something like a Ben and Jerry's that is standing for something and making real, tangible, traceable, quantifiable impacts on their community. And I just kind of say, we want to be the Ben and Jerry's granola bars because they're major trailblazers, right? As is Patagonia and some of these like grandfathers of the B Corp movement. There's so much more space in my industry and consumer packaged goods and CPG, especially in like the natural space for people to really up level, from the basic, just kind of the basic key, value props that you see so often, which is, donating a bit of money to charity or whatever, which is all good. Like I don't hate on anybody making an effort, but there are brands out there that are making like tectonic shifts in communities and making real changes. And I see Ben and Jerry's being an amazing example of that. And they're somebody who I really look up to. So, we're going to be launching new products, new product lines. We're always going to be kind of speaking to like the generation that I'm in, kind of like the 30s, kind of more female leaning for sure, impact focused, and creating products that's going to make these women's lives and the products that they buy align even more closely with values they hold. So that's the big vision. Made with local, gone global, whatever way, shape, or form that takes, and making some real impact all along the way.
Well, you guys are well on your way, and I think like you guys are amazing. The products are amazing. Your team's amazing. I can say after today, your new partners are amazing. So I'm sure you guys you'll figure it out.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear more about your time there. You've borderline spent more time there in real life than I have at this point.
I was thinking that. I thought that I wasn't going to say it because I was like, I don't know if that's something I should say out loud, but what a crazy time we're living through right now. But I'll look forward to, for sure, catching up ourselves in person, whether it's back in Nova Scotia or up here when you guys can when we can finally be back and forth. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for sharing today, and we'll be chatting soon.
Awesome.
Okay.
See you later, my friend. We'll talk soon. Bye.